Hello and welcome to this episode of ISJ Leaders in Security podcast series. I'm your host, Eve Goode, and I'm the digital content editor of International Security Journal. On today's episode, I'm joined by Scott Fisher, founder and CEO of Keynetics and SentryLock, and Stuart Wheeler, managing director of Keynetics, to discuss key management and secure access. Scott and Stuart, it's a pleasure to have you on today's episode. How are you both doing?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, doing very well. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, if you're ready, I'd love to just jump straight into the podcast. So, firstly, Scott, I wanted to start by asking you, could you share a brief history of both Keynetics and SentryLock and explain how their missions intersect in the world of key management and secure access?
Certainly, and I'll try to give the short version because if we sat down and we're having an adult beverage, we could take this out probably an hour. But the short version of the history of SentryLock and Keynetics is SentryLock was formed about 23 years ago in response to really a lack of competition in the access control market in residential real estate here in the United States. And our purpose and mission was to bring some innovation and choice in the market. There was only one company really providing a type of technology that we provide in the residential real estate space. And I'll kind of digress a moment. And what we use the product for here in the U.S. primarily is for the assistance for real estate agents to sell properties. So if you can imagine you're out there searching for a property with your spouse and you want to go see a property, our product provides access to the real estate agent to allow that real estate agent, my buyer's agent, to take me through that property and show me what that property is. Normally, the homeowner's not home for that. That way, as a buyer, I can have kind of unfettered access. So we started that 23 years ago. The only other company that was in this space was owned by General Electric at the time, and there wasn't really any competition. So consequently, we came on the scene after being in real estate technology for about a decade before that and brought forth a competitive product that brought a lot of new functionality and features to this access control space for a very unique USP selling proposition. So as we developed that technology over the course of the next 10 to 15 years, we realized there are a lot of places in the world where electronic access is really desired, but there's not a good fit from like a permanent lock set perspective. There aren't permanent lock sets to put on rail control boxes or certain industrial locations, et cetera. There was really no managed key access. So we said to ourselves, why don't we take this technology and see what other markets are available for it? Hence, in some a long way to unwind this, in my meeting with Stuart, et cetera, Stuart brought forth the opportunity in the care space specifically to say, hey, I think your product would be a great fit for providing in-home healthcare because we need to manage that access. So henceforth, we built a solution for that, changed the online platform to be more care-focused, and came up with a completely unique product for Stuart to market in the United Kingdom and ultimately Europe within the healthcare space, which, of course, we branched out significantly from in the past.
Well, that was amazing. So I think our listeners will be a little bit more familiar with you now. So, Stuart, I wanted to start by asking you, what do you think the biggest limitations are of traditional key holding models, and why do so many organisations rely on them today?
Yeah, thank you. And it's a nice segue, actually, because as Scott highlighted, we initially set the business up here in the United Kingdom and Europe into the care market. And, one of our first clients still with us is Westminster City Council. And they utilise our product across their care delivery. But while we were working with local authorities, we also were approached by a number of potential businesses and clients that highlighted to us, we have a bit of a problem with traditional key holding in what we'd probably call the private sector. So these are people like banks and retailers, people with multiple premises across the country, a whole raft of different businesses. And so we took a look at this and highlighted, well, are there issues? And a couple of those issues. Number one is the response times of traditional key holding. I can give you some actual instances of this, but it's not unusual for people with traditional key holding, for those clients waiting for a van with a key to wait up to 2 hours at times, if not longer, for response. And obviously, most organizations, when paying for a response service and key holding, expect the response a lot faster than that. One of our first banking clients actually was waiting over an hour and a half, and a year after taking our product, their average wait time dropped to 45 minutes. That was number one. The second one is the proof of access. So traceability of who's actually used my key, when they've arrived, how long they were there for, have they put my key back? All of those things, again, with traditional key holding, you can rely on some reporting, but you're relying on the people that are actually delivering the service to report on themselves, so to speak. And one final point I will mention, which has become really quite big in the last few years, is the reduction in carbon emissions. So traditional key holding invariably means one of two methods. Either people are driving to and from a key holding location, so you can understand the excess carbon being used, the excess fuel, the cost of that. In the fact, let's say an alarm goes off in Birmingham, and somebody has got to drive to Redditch to go and get the key, then drive back to Birmingham, and then go back to Redditch. The other method is key holding vans. Now, they might reduce slightly the carbon, but not really, because usually they're constantly on the go, constantly evolving, driving around, and therefore emitting carbon. And then you almost always have to have a distance to travel to go to the location, because they hold multiple keys. They just hold one or two. So I think that is a number of the major issues that are the reason we got into this business, and people really love our systems.
Well, I think you've actually answered my next question I was going to ask you, and that was about how it's improved response times. So I'm going to ask you, how has it improved audibility compared to legacy methods?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. Yeah. And on response times, I've given you one example. I can give you a few others as well. I mean, these are actual response times for one of our government contracts that we've got before our system was installed. 193 minutes somebody had to wait. At that exact location with our system, 35 minutes. I'll give you two more. Another location, 153 minutes with our system installed, 7 minutes. And the final one, 124 minutes with our system installed, 13 minutes. And of course, you understand that what you can do with our system is send the nearest person, the nearest responder, to be able to go where the point is at the point of need to be able to use the key. When talking about traceability, the great thing about our platform and our product is you've got the secure key in the box, but you've also got a platform that tracks that access. And with that tracking, what you can do is know, right, has somebody responded? Great, I'm relieved that they have. Did they go and do, for instance, the work we've contracted them to do? And this obviously segues not just for response services, but also if people are utilising this product, which many do. They might take the product to start off with a response service, but then it's segued into FM services, hard and soft FM services. Has the cleaner turned up? Has the cleaner done the hours allocated work? Has the person gained access that we needed to fix the issue from an FM point of view, and even from the point of view of granting access for people that might work within your own team, if there's a need for somebody to gain in, or even emergency services. All of these things are traceable, auditable, and then the great thing is for our clients that utilise this as well, they can send this report to their clients or give their clients access via the platform so they themselves can see instantly, hey, this service is really being delivered by this organisation.
Yes, I mean, it's quite a dramatic change. I mean, from the stats you said at the start, like 153 down to 7, like that is absurd. Like that is a lot less time waiting. So it definitely has made a difference.
Absolutely.
So moving on, Scott, I'd like to ask you about why are physical security certifications just as important now as digital security standards when evaluating key holding solutions?
Yeah, certainly in the physical security, if you're going to entrust putting a key on a building, out of sight, out of mind, if you will, that physical product security is incredibly important. We know that traditionally, when there's issues at a location, there's usually not a lot of forethought and planning. Usually the bad guys see something hanging on a wall or see a situation and then want to see if they can relieve the device of its key. So the physical security standards and certifications are certainly important because what it does is it provides for the buyer on this side buying the solution out there a standard by which they can trust and that they're tested to the same thing. And to use some terminology from the Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan era, it's a trust but verify sort of scenario. You want to make sure that the company that's offering the service or product has gone through a rigorous security evaluation. And if you use the right certifications out there, those companies do an amazing job of testing. They've seen it all, they've done it all, they test usually multiple products out there. We typically use BRE Global and their LPS 1175 standard to test to, because the guys that do the testing and gals that are out there attacking the product and looking for physical vulnerabilities have seen everything from security doors, safes, roll-up doors, man traps, you name it. They've seen every type of security scenario out there, and they will come in with a lot of very unique, and unfortunately for the manufacturer, some very clever ways to breach the security on the product. So once we receive that certification, we know from a manufacturing perspective that we have done a really good job of ensuring physical security, but also the consumer of the product on the other end can say, okay, I know this product has got independent security certification, meets a specific standard, and so when we're talking to our insurance providers, we know the insurance companies will underwrite those because they know those security certifications are really meaningful. So we love it because it's a level playing field. It differentiates the product to security because I will say there's a lot of crap out there in the market, a lot of stuff that claims to be secure, looks really pretty on the wall, but actually is not very physically secure. So we feel this is a benefit for us and also our customers because they can trust our product, and we also ensure what we're manufacturing is actually meeting the highest standard.
So it's clear that ensuring security to a high standard is crucial for you. So can you tell me, what role does secure professionally developed software play in modern key management, and what risk actually comes with cutting corners?
Yeah, and that's a great follow-on to that because the physical security only gets you so far in the platform because what is obviously happening out there in the world, we see this every day with bad actors out there trying to infiltrate various software platforms. So if you're going to entrust your solution and your business to providing these solutions electronically through online platforms, you better make sure the company that's doing that is actually well-versed in IT security processes and best practices, as well as where's their stuff housed. So I can imagine enterprises are looking to deploy a solution like ours. When they're looking at that, they want to make sure that if they're entrusting their business to that platform, they make sure it's going to work every day because they're going to show up to work, and that if that platform is down, they're going to be very unhappy because they have workers out there that are trying to get their jobs done, contractual response times, contracted services they can't deliver if that platform doesn't work. So having a cloud-based solution with full redundancy that's developed to standards that are current IT standards for both security as well as reliability and failover are incredibly important on that. And I'm telling you, the barriers for that are getting higher. So a lot of the small players that are entering this marketplace looking to provide similar solutions, they just don't have the bandwidth or the professional IT staff yet to really do that. It takes a lot of money and time to develop these high-end solutions. We're very fortunate over 23 years of being able to advance our platform solutions well beyond what they started at. If we started today, we would be in a much more difficult position. But these things are incredibly important for the consumer side of this, the actual companies buying these solutions, to ensure that they're going to be safe and able to deliver their products and services without having to worry about that.
Yeah, so over 23 years that you've been operating, you've definitely seen probably a lot of things that go up and go down, things crashing. So yeah, your experience says a lot.
Yeah, and I would say that just as a follow-on to that, sorry to jump in there, but just to give you an idea of platform vulnerabilities, we monitor, for example, just intrusion attempts. And it's not unusual for us to see 1 million attempts a month in terms of electronic access from a standpoint of platform breaching. And we're not unique in that space. There are all kinds of actors out there that are doing that from various nation states looking for vulnerabilities in platforms. So you've got to really be on your toes on this stuff today because it's a very difficult environment.
Definitely. So how do you think real-time logging and access auditing change accountability for security teams and end users?
Yeah, it's a great question. what really our system does is it takes the control away from individuals and puts it in the hands of the organisation that's paying for that service. That's what it really does. So it's full traceability. The auditing side of it is really key as well. A bit of a pun there with key, because you would be surprised the amount of keys that actually go missing from traditional key holding methods. So when it comes to actually gaining access to a property when you need that key, being able to find it on time and deliver it is complex at times. With our system, it's not. With our system, the key is at the point of need every time. With our system, you know it's there. It's there. The platform tells you it's there. When it's used, when it's removed, you're told it's been removed. When it's put back, you're told it's been put back. Full reporting functionality as well, which means that you can highlight a report on a particular building, a particular organisation, even down to a granular level of a particular employee. From that point of view, again, you can see and then learn from different areas of feedback and from data to be able to highlight, okay, what we need here is to improve in this particular area, or actually we're doing quite well in another particular area. And comparing it with traditional key holding, of course, the most important factor which we talked about again beforehand was what you're getting in this situation now with our product, with our systems, is the ability to respond immediately. And from that means that you are getting a sense of reassurance as a client that actually if there's an issue at your building, something is being done about it, and you can see that in real time.
So regardless of all of the positives that you've told me about, do you think that there is resistance to moving away from traditional key holding, even when there's the benefits of all the new key holding methods?
It would be nice to say there isn't, but of course there are. Yeah, and of course the number one is all of us. It's almost innate in us as a human species. We are frightened of change. So that's the first thing, yeah? This method, I mean, let's think about it. How long has traditional key holding been going? Back to medieval times. You can imagine a guy or a lady moving over to a location where they've got a key, and it's probably a key room, and then they have to go and get a guard that goes and takes the key, the big keys, and walks them from one location, or maybe gets on a horse to get to a location with them. That's how long key holding has stayed the same. It really has.
It's odd, isn't it? Because you think that after all those 700, 800 years we would have changed from being medieval people, but we really haven't. So stick to all of our same ways. So we're actually on to the final question with Scott now. So Scott, looking ahead, how should organisations plan their key management strategy so it evolves over time rather than forcing change too quickly?
Yeah, that's a good question, and certainly companies that are considering this transition, it's a big deal, and trust me, we understand that. Operationally, most companies have a very specific way they operate today, probably with traditional key holding. They have vans going out there, so there is an operational impact. And my suggestion is, it's always like the eating the elephant analogy, one bite at a time. So the implementation process should start with the simple things. Try to get accomplished just the basic steps of, okay, we just need to replace how we're getting our keys. But then there are certain features and functions in the system and the platform that customers can adopt that can improve their efficiencies, et cetera. But again, just take it a step at a time. Probably if a very large organization, we see a lot of organizations pilot it in a particular area with a particular group, and that way they can get their feet wet effectively to try to understand exactly the operational impacts. But once they get past that point and they get a recipe figured out for their particular organization, usually it goes pretty smoothly and pretty quickly. And what's always interesting for me is when customers that have adopted the platform and suddenly start seeing the benefits, they're like, gosh, why did we do this like 10 years ago? So there's always this aha moment of like, wow, this makes our operation so much more efficient. We can devote those resources to other areas, providing better customer service. It may have a labor impact to make their cost of delivery of service better. Their customers are happier because they now have more instantaneous contractual response times being met, plus they have the data to go around that to see what the accesses are actually happening. So there are a lot of positives that come out of it. And again, when organizations finally start to realize that, they go, wow, this is really incredible for our customers and what we're doing. And again, it's just overcoming that fear of change. And of course, the planning that's necessary to implement it it's a major operation. But again, the fear is always worse than the change itself. And once it happens, it pays for itself handsomely.
Lovely. So thank you both for joining me on today's episode. It's been lovely to have you on.
Thank you, Eve.
Thank you also to our listeners for joining us on today's episode of ISJ Leaders in Security podcast series. I've been your host, Eve Goode, and please keep your eye and your ear out for our next episode coming very soon.